Hey everyone, I'm Danish, and today I'm gonna explain the mid and post-credit scenes of Antman and the Wasp Quantumania, so you know there will be massive spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie yet, then please come back to this video once you have. But of course, if spoilers don't matter to you, or you have seen the film, let me dig deeper and explain what the post-credit scenes of this movie really mean. Because be assured, I'm gonna give you one detail at the end that will blow your mind. But first things first, let me give you a synopsis of the movie, so you better understand the context. But don't worry, I won't waste time talking about the entire film, because I understand you're here for the post-credit scene breakdown, and not the entire film. The movie opens with some flashback sequence where Janet Van Dyne meets Kang, the Conqueror. Kang has a ship that allows him to travel through the multiverse, but Janet figures out Kang is evil and essentially destroys his ship, trapping them both deeper in the quantum realm. Now, Kang has been the Conqueror ever since, and he's been looking for Janet for revenge. Now in present day, Scott, Cassie, Hank, Janet, and Hope get stuck into the quantum realm by Cassie's device. Scott tries to calm Cassie down by saying being in the quantum realm is just like camping. We see a whole civilization living in the quantum realm, and there Scott meets Kang. Now, Kang wants Scott to help him get out of the quantum realm, and says they should work together. Kang claims to be the only one who can stop what's coming. And when Scott asks what that is, Kang simply says me. Kinda like what happened in Loki Season 1, where He Who Remains said this.
If you think I'm evil, just wait till you meet my variants.
Scott then gets into the quantum nexus, where he meets several different variants of himself, and he teams up with some of them to fight Modok. Scott has an emotional moment with Cassie, saying he messed up a lot in his life, but she was the only thing he never did. He promises Cassie he'll get her home. Kang tells Janet that she gave him a lot of time to plot his revenge by leaving him stranded in the quantum realm. He tells her that when he leaves, the first universe he'll claim will be hers. Kang reveals he has built an empire, and says he'll take it with him to conquer all the universes. We see Giant Cassie fighting Modok, and she tries to talk him into switching sides. Giant Scott and Giant Cassie run to each other for a hug. He jokes about it feeling like he's hugging Godzilla. Kang then has a standoff with Scott, Hope, and Cassie, and their Hank flies in with a legion of battle-armored ants, and they attack Kang. Now towards the end of the film, Antman slams Kang's multiversal engine with a handful of PIM particle discs, and the engine starts collapsing. And their Hope intervenes and kicks Kang into the multiversal engine. And that's how Kang gets killed. So that now you know what happens in the movie, and how the movie ends. Let's dive into the mid-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is 80 seconds long, and is very significant if we consider the future of the MCU. It begins by showing us a coliseum surrounded by 3 giant Kang statues. And we hear a voice saying so the exiled one is dead, and the first Kang variant we see here is Ramatut. Now, Ramatut was Kang's original alias when he ruled ancient Egypt. He's originally from Earth at 6311, where he used his ancestors' time machine that took him to ancient Egypt, where he seized the opportunity and established himself as the Pharaoh Ramatut. And he asks, "Are you sure the exiled one is dead?" And the one answering him is another Kang variant, aka Scarlet Centurion, although he's not red like he's in the comics. And he says, "If it wasn't true, I wouldn't call you Ramatut." Then replies back, "It must really eat you up that you're not the one who killed him." And then we see another Kang variant, aka Immortus, for the first time in the MCU as the leader of the Council of Kangs. He calls himself the Master of Time. Gardener of Time is more fitting. He prunes away realities deemed by others to be dangerous, reducing reality to a bloodless meadow. And he says none of us killed him. They did. They're beginning to touch the multiverse. And by them he mean the superheroes. And just as he says it, a portal opens up in front of them, and we see the same branches of time we've seen in Loki episode 6. And then he says, "And if we let them, they will take everything. So let's stop wasting time. We are late." And here we get a moment where Ramatut gives a stare at Scarlet Centurion. So, they are not happy that their exiled variant was killed by others, and not them. Meaning they still hate Kang, the one who Hope killed. But they're just angry that an outsider killed a Kang variant, and not them. because that means the superheroes are getting stronger by the day. If they could kill Kang the Conqueror, they might end up killing some of the other Kangs as well. And that's why in the Council of Kangs, they call upon all other Kangs for support, so they can all team up together and fight our superheroes. The scene then ends in the Colosseum full of Kang variants, which shows like 1,000 different variants of Kang, and they're all cheering and screaming. And if you're wondering why, it's because they're happy to see Immortus, Ramatut, and Scarlet Centuria. To all the other Kangs, these three are like the top tier of the group. All of these Kangs cheering also goes to show how each Kang variant will follow Immortus' instructions and try to impress him. And amidst the 1,000 different Kangs, we see a scroll version, meaning Marvel's Secret Invasion, which comes out this year in spring, may have another Kang variant's cameo. Then comes the post-credit scene, and this is by far my favorite. It's 40 seconds long and probably gives us a glimpse of what's coming next in the MCU because it's footage directly taken from Loki Season 2. So it's not directed by Peyton Reed, who directed Quantumania. Anyway, it begins by showing us a stage that has a lot of modern equipment for its time. And we hear Jonathan Major's voice saying time is everything. So obviously, this equipment has to do something with time. Or perhaps it could be a time machine that he's building. And then as the curtains of the stage move, we see exactly who this variant is. It is none other than Victor Timely. Now in the comics, Victor Timely is a name taken on by Nathaniel Richards aka Kang the Conqueror when he decides to travel back to the early 20th century and set up a new base of operations. After losing a battle against the Avengers, Kang escaped to the year 1901 where he called himself Victor Timely and founded a town in Wisconsin called Timely and established himself as mayor. Over the decades, Victor Timely would continue to rule the town, often using robots as stand-ins for himself as he continued to conquer the multiverse. These robots could even age, allowing Kang and his stand-ins to pose not only as Victor Timely, but also as Victor Timely Jr. and Victor Timely III as the years went by. At the same time, he used his 20th century base of operations to develop new technology, and that is exactly what we could be seeing here in this post-credit scene. His inventions were even used by the Fantastic Four in the comics. He also constructed Chronopolis in the comics, the city that we see in this movie. Now, He Who Remains in Loki Season 1 actually talked about Victor Timely, although he didn't take his name.
Before the TVA, a variant of myself lived on Earth in the 31st century. He was a scientist, and he discovered that there were universes stacked on top of his own.
Now I found an amazing hidden detail here that I haven't seen anyone point out yet. And that is we see Victor Timely having a gorgeous mustache just like he does in the comics. Now what if I tell you Victor Timely was already shown to us visually in the final episode of Loki? That's right. Take a look at this scene again.
Shared technology and knowledge, using the best of their universes to improve the others.
Now, when He Who Remains was explaining how his variants helped each other before starting a multiversal war, whatever he was saying, we could visually see them through these holographic figures. Now notice the figure that appears when he talks about Victor Timely. This figure has a mustache just like Victor Timely. So Loki Season 1, which came out in 2021, has actually foreshadowed the arrival of Victor Timely 3 years ahead in time. And that's what I call an Easter egg. And this also means whoever was in charge of CGI in these figures knew what Victor Timely looks like in the comics. So hats off to Marvel for such incredible attention to detail. Now coming to the post-credit scene, I think the premise of Loki Season 2 is that he's gonna try to track down the exact variant of Kang who ends up becoming He Who Remains. Because Loki believes Sylvie shouldn't have killed him, because that opened the door to another multiversal war. So perhaps Loki is trying to track that exact variant which will end up becoming He Who Remains. And that's why with the help of Mobius, he goes back in time to find Victor Timely. And that's why this scene looks like it's taking place in the early 19th century. Now Victor Timely says, time shapes our lives, but perhaps we can shape it. And seeing him doing the presentation, Loki says it's him. But Mobius of course gets deceived by Victor's disguise and says to Loki, but you made him sound like he's a terrifying figure. And Loki simply says he is. And just like in the comics, people seem amazed at his presentation not knowing Victor Timely is actually from the future. And that's how the post-credit scene ends. So it's needless to say that the two post-credit scenes of this film are laying the groundwork for the next 5 years of the MCU. The mid-credit scene perfectly summed up what Kang Dynasty might look like, and the post-credit scene established we're gonna go deeper into Kang's backstory. And I just realized, this will be the first time in the history of MCU that we are gonna see the same actor aka Jonathan Majors play the villain role in almost all the major projects. So hopefully you now have a better understanding of the two post-credit scenes. Let me know if you noticed any other details or points from these scenes. For those of you who have watched the first and second Antman, Loki series, Avengers Infinity War, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and Spider-Man No Way Home, maybe you can follow this storyline in the future. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you find something new. Fill it in the comments down below if you find movie details that maybe not many people know about. Thank you.